Sorry, I was just trying to channel my Kyle Larson.
It worked. I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
Alrighty. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out tonight to the AMS Cup Series Monday nights at 9:20 Eastern Time, where they go qualifying. Phoenix. I won't say anything about Phoenix. Wasn't too kind to me and a few others last night when we did the NAS. But anyway, Phoenix International Raceway, I do believe it is called.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Phoenix International. Um, back in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, when NASCAR first started coming here, Alan Kawicki got his first career win here. Rusty Wallace was another driver that was pretty good here back in the day as well. So, years later, as we all know, this is where the championship deciding race gets held, Brian. So, um, some people call it kind of a snoozer. Others kind of prefer it, but this is the third configuration or the third Phoenix layout. There used to be grass here, like a nice grassy knoll on the back straightaway. There also used to be a walkover bridge, but they did away with that. Um, so they do use the open dog leg here, so we will be seeing cars venture down there on the restarts. They fan out, the very wide track. You can go down onto the apron into the corners, and some are able to do that better than others. Brian, I believe you have the starting grid here.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. So we can keep jib-jabbing for just a tad bit longer. But yeah, a lot of famous final lap incidences, when Kyle Larson kind of or Ryan Newman bumped Larson into the wall to get that 1 point he needed, that to transfer into the final four round at Homestead the year Harvick won, which would have been 2014, I do believe. So, I mean, Phoenix has produced a lot of great racing. Yes, it's just sometimes it's a bit chaotic. It can be a slick track. It's a fun track. It can be very fun, but I'd have to say, Brian, it's a driver's track. So
It is.
you really get. You got to be patient getting back to the throttle. You can just back your corners way up into the corner before you even make that turn in, right? Like we've seen at a lot of other tracks. Milwaukee, New Hampshire, Gateway, and Phoenix are probably the four most similar tracks as far as how you can drive them. But Phoenix probably has the most widest radius corners of the four tracks I just mentioned.
Oh, he hit the wall to 12 with Kevin Krasinski. Oh,
Yeah, Kevin hit that a ton there. The driver said the track, was kind of cool at the moment. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too slick, but some of the qualifying runs that we're seeing at the moment kind of say otherwise, at least in my opinion, Brian. So
yes.
we're going to have to be a watchful eye because we know how treacherous this track can be.
Yeah,
This
just
track
ask.
is,
All I gotta do is just ask
yep.
Martin. And
Oh yeah,
Fuel.
that's for sure.
He'll tell you all about it. Anyway, well, the main key to watch out for, if it's anything like the officials, will be turn one. That's where everything goes down and where all the chaos kind of sort of does happen. I'll get the race information. Unfortunately, that's not Atlanta. We didn't get the updated one, so it'll be Phoenix and Avondale, Arizona. Current track temp is 95 degrees. Weather outside is 72 degrees, 32% humidity, partly cloudy with the 5-mile-per-hour wind. They do run fixed sets, 70% fuel, and they do get one fast repair. Now I have the starting grid. Alright. So P1 would be Joseph Madigan, P2 would be Will Roberts, P3 would be Ryan Honeycutt, P4 would be Jason Taylor, P5 would be John Neckrich, P6 would be Michael Carter, P7 would be Brian Baker, P8 would be Dylan Kritz, P9 will be Adam Evo Bolton, P10 would be Kane Lee, P11 would be John Mazzella, P12 would be Antonio Bonani, P13 would be Michael Cochran, P14 would be Sean O'Brien, P15 would be Randy Sample, P16 would be Josh Farmer, P17 would be Kevin Trzynski, P18 would be Amir Bascom. So they have a nice little 18 driver field here.
Yes, 18 drivers this evening here at Phoenix.
Looking to put on a great show. 100 laps. Oh, it's 150. From the notes I got was 100 laps. So it's 150 laps. So maybe a miscue on the notes there, but yeah, why not give them an extra 50 laps to settle the differences?
Yeah, short tracks can pretty much bring out the best in everybody, that we do know, Brian, so got to be on the lookout for maybe rising temperatures underneath the helmet tonight.
Yep.
You know, going into these corners, you want to give everybody space and enough breathing room. Everybody's going to have different lifting points and braking points. Also, the restarts, I know everybody, the leader can go on green from the drop of the green flag, or when the pace car leaves the racing surface, as soon as he dives into the pits, leader can go, well, I don't know here about Phoenix, but I know at the other tracks, Brian, it's pretty much leader discretion, but pretty much here at Phoenix, you're restarting in a corner, basically exiting a corner, and it's very tricky. I saw last night drivers spinning their tires. It's so easy to spin your tires here. Coming for the initial start, drop of the green flag.
Yep, green flag is out, like we said. The dog light is accessible. You can use it all you want, but you'll want to be a little careful here going into turns 1, coming out of 2. You see there Honeycutt on the bottom there, looking to apply the pressure. 276 on Madigan. Oh, just like that, the 78 does go around.
Problems early for Will Roberts here, and not sure if anybody else got involved. We're going to get a replay here, Brian, so look back and see what happened. It's probably just a case of just getting loose into the turn number 3 area. That might be what happened here. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, the car just didn't bite. The front end started to just ink away underneath him, under the braking.
Good record avoidance by everybody. That's one thing I can say.
Yeah, these guys, they really know how to avoid the wrecks over here, that's for sure. Sometimes you don't really see too many people just piling in, but I do have to agree with that, Brian. So just a single car spin, early goings here, early days. Back-to-back nights for me calling Phoenix races and didn't even get the first lap completed.
See there, got a little loose.
I'm not sure if he got disturbed by just the car in front of him, the 51 of yes. Not sure if just him coming down the track, late entry, because Honeycutt kind of turned a little bit later than Will. Don't know if that had anything with Will maybe bicycling it or something to that effect. Maybe him just doing that to avoid running over the 51, possibly. Not 100% sure. We would have to have confirmation, talk to Will about it, but that could have been what he was trying to do as well after the 51 of Honeycutt comes down the track right in front of Will. He probably was like, okay, well, I don't need to run over him on lap 1 here, so that could have been the case.
Also, it depends how much brake bias you have in the car. We've seen it a lot last night with doing the NIS. So that seemed to be a lot of the issues going into the old 1 and 2, which is now the 3 and 4. So this track can be detrimental in some spots, and it's all about getting in that rhythm. And like you said before, it's a driver's track too as well. So Madigan is going to lead them back to green.
So a quick caution here after the single car incident by Will Roberts spinning, trying to complete lap 1. Green flag back out in the air, and they're going to fan out here like we talked about. Such a wide track for the most part, vastly wide as far as the racing room that you can kind of have here. You kind of get compromised, though, if you venture down to the flat. You got to back your corner entry up into turn 3, just a wee bit more than you would normally if you venture down onto the flat. We saw a couple of people last night just get it wrong.
That does happen, that's for sure. And the track does get very slick too as well, so all about your lift points and all about hitting your marks is what it comes down to. And a little inside scoop there, that apron, when they use the dog leg, that does take quite a few percentage out of those tires.
Yes, it does, because you're pivoting that car hard to the left, a bit more, might as well say viciously, than what you would be if you were normally taking the regular route of the track, which is staying above that. Where there? Come back to me, Discord. Staying above that yellow line, you wouldn't be eating as much tire like you talked about, Brian. But because you're having to pivot that car, you're putting more load on the suspension, more load on the tires, and that will eat those percentages down, like you talked about.
Yep, as Evo stays on the track, he doesn't go down there. So he's biding his time with the 98 and everybody else there. So maybe later in the run, as they all keep using the dog leg, I'm sure eventually then they'll start to do it and gain a little bit more time too as well. So great run by the 35 of Bonani on a dog leg, coming up to the 94 of Bolton. But Bolton's going to get him here going in turns 3 and 4. But Bonani's hanging on his quarter. Well, not hanging on it, but to his quarter going into 3 and 4 to make sure he gave him as much room as he needed. But Bolton's still there, as the 35 is still looking down low to get by the 94, but can't quite get there.
Almost 3 wide coming out of turn 4, but not quite the last lap by. Big gaggle of cars here, this battle group. the 94, 35, 98, 41, 46, 65, pretty much 7th on back to about 12th, Brian, I do believe. So just a decent battle group at the moment.
7th through the 13th. Will Roberts is just there, but not quite there, but he's there.
Right, exactly.
He's
So
right behind that 41.
you can just see how difficult these cars are at trying to stay in the lane you enter going into the corners here at Phoenix. They want to kind of float up a lane or gradually go up a half a lane on you.
Oh, yeah.
Fuel mileage tonight.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say fuel mileage tonight, 60 to 65 laps. Drivers told me right around, 65. So
right.
possibly, 60 to 65 laps here tonight on a full tank, depending on how hard you're charging, right, Brian? So
yes, because I think that's what it was in the NIS. I think the same amount of laps too. So, oof. Boy, I tell you what, my race not go as planned. Oh man. I had great wreck avoidance, but then just the cars around you. Yeah, you gotta be worried about doing all that. You see there that who's behind the 65, the 98. Trying to tell the 65, hey bud, I am a little bit quicker. Oh, getting to you. Just hey, let me try to squeeze on by here a little bit so I can get up there and finesse with these boys a little bit. But 65 is running his line, doesn't have to move. That's just his preferred line, Will. But other drivers trying to adapt to lift points and lines. So when they take your line away, unfortunately, you're the oddball out.
exactly, like it's also very difficult trying to close in on somebody who is using the same line you are. You feel like you're faster than them, but you can't get by because they're not really impeding you, but just using that line that you are. They're just as fast, maybe just a tick slower than you, but still able to stay in front of you, right? Because they're dumping that dirty air on you. I know it's Phoenix. It's just, you basically got to drive it like a short track, but that dirty air still plays effect.
Absolutely.
So Madigan and Honeycutt kind of broken away. Honeycutt's 9/10 of a second back, and then Kritz, Lee, Taylor, Nerkrich. Yes, I'll get it right eventually, Brian, after about the 20th try. But yes, just everybody's kind of finally single filing out, but you still have little battles. You had a 3-car battle going on just behind Bonini for 10th place. O'Brien, Carter, and Mazzella are going at it, and then right in front of all of them, Kurtz and Lee, 3rd and 4th, I believe, are going at it as well. So little groups all over the place. It's hard to keep an eye on one particular battle, but
there's battles all over. Look at that's a nice little group of cars we have from 3rd on back. So Will's just hovering right around there. Right next to him is Trzynski, which we saw qualify didn't go too fine for him. So.
He went down there onto the flat. The car looked like it bottomed out, didn't like it, and just lost control of it. Like we said, you got to be careful about that. Now Madigan's lead has opened up to a second and a half. Almost 25 laps into this race. Field somewhat spread out, but like we still talked about, you still got these little groups. Everybody's somewhat single file pretty much. Nobody's side by side at the moment. Farmer and Neckrich, though, just exchanged 7th and 8th, I do believe. Neckrich might be falling back slightly.
Oh yeah, he's fixing to get swallowed up here, Will. But that also comes with abusing that dog leg. Now you got so much percentage of those tires now gone. Those guys who were using it are now going to catch you a lot faster.
Yeah, especially being on a fixed setup, you can't control too much like we talk about just about each week.
That's the wall.
Every broadcast, yes it is, got really tight. Walked it up the track, into the wall he did.
If you listen closely, you can hear it hitting the dog leg very rough.
Yeah, these flat bottom cars, they don't like all those bumps and everything. They will beat, whenever it comes to unruly surfaces, so you see how much the cars can bounce once you pivot down from the track onto the flat, down there onto the surface.
Some onboard shots here for you guys. I do notice when you use the dog leg, it jolts the wheel because that's how hard you're hitting the bottom of the dog leg, which is applying all that on the wheel. So when you use it, it's like hitting very hard and it jolts because certain parts of the track in the dog leg, if you hit it even, you're fine. See here, Will, now they're starting to fan apart, get spread out now, so tire wear is coming to big key. You see Will Roberts there getting another loosey-goosey.
Yeah, Phoenix is another one of those tracks that we talk about trying to save those tires. You can be very conservative with your tire wear. You will have that longevity that you hope to have with the long run speed.
A 32 of 150 in the books. Like I said, so far all spaced out.
Yeah, only had the one caution so far. That was for Will Roberts, single car spin, entering basically right as he got into turn 3. So ever since then we've been clean and green.
Madigan's pulling a Brandon Moore. He's just setting that pace and just going.
That is for sure indeed what is happening up at the front of the field.
Let's see, Bolton got by Taylor there. $34 $150 in the books. So roughly about another 28 laps you should start to see these boys start making their pit stop. So they'll be pitting going into the old 3 and 4, which is now turn 22. Is now where the pit entrance is. And that is a very long pit road.
Yes, pit road speed here at Phoenix 45 miles per hour. That is a creeping crawl with how long of a pit road this is that you talked about here. You were pitting right on the entry to turn 2 or the exit let's say basically right on the exit of turn 2, but you have to start pitting about the middle to the exit of turn 2. So it's a tricky pit road to get onto, that's for sure.
You see there, Will making a very unscheduled pit stop there.
Yeah, that's pretty early. That's about we're halfway into what we would estimate to be a fuel run here. Baker is about to go a lap down to our race leader. If not already did go a lap down, so.
Oh, that's because there was some contact made, Will. Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. How is that not a caution?
Because he jumped to the pitch real quick. So that's why we see.
Yeah. That's why we see Will Roberts in the pits, unscheduled, so early. Oh, no! That should be a caution.
Yeah, it is. So we see here going into 3 and 4.
And the 94 is underneath the 51 of Honeycutt. That's the 94 of
Bolton,
yes. And coming out of turn number 4, what's going to transpire here? I think he just gets tight and starts to whoosh up here. But, Honeycutt comes down as Bolton coming up. So they just kind of met in the middle, Brian, but I like that Coca-Cola paint scheme.
So do I, that's very nice. But as we saw before, Bolton really never used the dog leg. So as Honeycutt always used the dog leg, so he was probably trying to cut down to the dog leg. See, everybody's pitting here. So 76 wins all, 34, 46, 65, everybody else. It's very unfortunate for that to happen to Bolton.
Yeah, Race and Deal coming out of turn number 2. I did it again. Coming out of turn number 4. Right at the start-finish line, more or less. And tragedy struck for the 94 Bolton.
Yep.
I would say grab old Will Roberts, but we probably shouldn't talk to Will. He has just now put his car behind the wall, so I was going to say, maybe talk to Will, ask him about the struggles he's just been having here today, but better not if we don't. Sometimes better not to talk about a driver who's just been having a bad day at the track, so hopefully next week, Will can come back, be as strong as he has been the prior weeks.
Yeah. Which next week will these drivers head to Bristol?
Yes, Bristol Motor Speedway, that is Thunder Valley. So, that half-mile track, people gotta watch out. Blind, corners pretty much, like you can't really see throughout. And there could be a car just sitting there waiting. You never know, Brian. You never know what is around any corner at Bristol.
Bristol's another one, a rhythm track.
Oh, yeah.
If you ain't patient with the car, it's just going to go very bad for you. You're going to get very frustrated. You're going to get very frustrated with yourself and the car. The car has to come to you at Bristol. You can't just force the issue. Like I've seen a lot of the officials. But that's the nature of the beast of Bristol. Short track racing, how brutal those can be. Sometimes caution fest. Sometimes you get surprised and like, wow, they doing really good. And sometimes that's just what it is. But anyway, pace truck peeled off here as Madigan is going to lead the field back to green.
We got Kurtz on the outside in that 34 car, so. But like we talked about, you're restarting basically on the corner exit or middle of a corner, turn 4 there, and it's going to be difficult for the tires not to spin, and almost every time leader is going to have that advantage just about because that outside lane is going to be a bit uneven, or whichever lane the leader restarts in. Leader has choice.
So they all pitted on 45, so
45 lap or you mean before 45? They pitted at lap 42, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
About 41, 42. So let's do 42 to
like 100
6.
and maybe
120 to 126.
There you go.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Yes, sir.
Maybe 129. Somewhere in there is where we should be expecting everybody to come down for the final pit stop of the evening.
You see there, Bonani behind the 98 of Carter as they aggressively get down through the dogleg wheel. Put a little bit more oomph on those tires again. We saw the difference between who pushes hard and who don't, and then the drastic fall off of some that see as you watch, as you saw there, the 98 aggressively going for the dog leg. You see the front of that car just bounce, and then the dog leg's brutal.
Well, in like every discipline of motorsports, tires are crucial, tires are key, tires is what's going to help you, keep going, right? And if you can't keep your tires underneath you for that longevity, that long run that we always expect to happen in any race, any series, doesn't matter what we're, watching, right, Brian? So
yes, sir.
You really need to try to conserve the tires the best you can, especially at a place like Phoenix that can kind of just grade those tires away. And if if you can't really control those tires, then you got to learn. It takes a discipline, that's for sure. So, and especially with iRacing, tires is a big crucial factor. Like we have seen before, other races, other series where someone nicked the wall there.
Yeah, they did.
Where
I
tires
think that was
is, I think it was too. But tires, you can just have a few lap fresher tire, and that's the biggest advantage in the world, it seems sometimes, Brian. So tires are key. Tires are everything.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Armour having a good battle for P2 with Kurtz. He's trying to hold off Kurtz back there, but Manigan, he's starting to drive away again here. He's picked up to a 0.7 of a second lead, almost a second, Brian, as everybody's just gaggling and jockeying for position behind them. Great battles going on. They're trying to get the best position that they can before the good wears off the Goodyear Eagle. Oh, man. Kevin.
In the wall.
Yep.
That is pushing to the max of the car. Getting very tight coming at it from 3 and 4.
That was 1 and 2, but yes, old 3 and 4, 1 and 2. I know it still gets me too, Brian. So Daniel Suarez still isn't used to it either. If you heard him in the Xfinity race, he was messing up too. So a lot of the drivers still aren't used to, whenever a track gets flipped, which end is which. So it takes a good learning too.
Like
just imagine running a...
You can get in a rhythm here, you're awesome.
Could you imagine? That battle for second is still raging on between Kurtz and Farmer. Farmer is the runner-up for the last 2 seasons here in the AMS Cup Series. We don't have the defending champion here tonight, Brian.
No, we don't. That's very unfortunate. Would have liked to see what he could have done, but that that does happen. So I mean, other personal things do come up, and sometimes you just cannot make those. Baker went through that time. Oh, he crashed before. What happened there? Oh, that's what we were talking about, that lip. Oh, man. Very unfortunate for Baker. Brian Baker, and he blew up. That was all she wrote.
And I'm assuming, all she wrote for the 3 car, and I'm assuming because of that, the car stopping on under the racing surface, and he was able to tow it in time. No caution, so these drivers are staying green here.
Yep, he used his quick fix and back out on track, back up to full power, shall we say. But Madigan,
yeah, he's just gonna need 3 cautions.
Oh yeah. Maybe he'll get it, maybe he won't. It just all depends, really. A Farmer in front of Fritz, then O'Brien, then Lee, then Mazzella, then Honeycutt, then Carter, then Bonani, then Boughton. There's your top 10.
Brzezinski is in 11th, Cochran in 12th. Necrin, Sample, Taylor, that is the remaining cars on the lead lap that round out the 15th positions. Like we talked about, Baker 3 laps down after that gnarly shunt he had, got his quick fix, and like we said, he's back out there. These drivers get 1 quick fix in the AMS Cup Series.
Yes, they do. But
this battle, man, for second place behind Farmer, Kurtz, he's got O'Brien, Lee, Mazzella, Carter. I mean, everybody right there. But Manigan, he's 2.5 seconds down the road. He's trying to make his own area code.
His car is just set up the right way and just taking advantage of the
15
fresh
laps.
air.
Oh yeah, that fresh air is king. It's great whenever you can get out in front any track and just drive away, clean sailing. You got that fresh air in front of you. You don't have to worry about nobody in your mirror crowding you, being all up over you. But like I said, 15 laps away from halfway, Brian. They are just knocking them down.
Oh yeah, do that as long as you're patient. I like that Sprite car. It's not bad looking. Of Lee. Yeah, Honeycutt in a 51. Following behind him is Zella. And Carter, then Benani, then Barton. Almost a 3-second lead Madigan has over Farmer. So 64 of 150 in the books. As Honeycutt is looking to get by Lee. But stalling out, carrying all the momentum into turns 1 and 2. Gets stalled out a little bit. Now he's got Mozella to his back. So he's going to try to apply some pressure to the back of that 51, take some air off of him, try to get in the bobble, and then capitalize from there. So
Takes about a good 20 to 30 laps, I feel like, Brian, for these cars to get spread out here at Phoenix.
oh yeah.
Everybody's still, for the most part, they can still kind of fight at the moment. That's what we're seeing out of Carter, Mazzella, Honeycutt, Kritz tagged the wall that lap, that last lap by, so he's got O'Brien did a crossover on him. Yep. Your car just wants to twitch, either under braking or coming out of the corners. It's so easy to kind of have the racing line folds out, comes out to the wall, just like at almost every racing track, right? How these Cup cars will do that. So just the forward momentum just kind of swings them out wide. And sometimes coming out of turn 4, right at the stripe, you can kind of nick the wall. And coming out of 2, you can do the same. It's so simple and easy to do. You remember Gary that drives the 78 over in the SRU Cup Series, Gary Slapinski? Man, he was leading the race last night, coming to the restart zone, and spun his tires, and just as the race leader, right, just spun his tires, and I was just couldn't get over it, because you don't really see mistakes like that out of him, right, and it's so easy to spin your tires in the restart zone here.
Oh yeah, it is.
I talked about it earlier.
It's the way that the restart zone is placed.
Mm-hmm.
So from
it is placed. Mm-hmm. That exit of turn 4, like we talked about, Bristol kind of has it the same way, Brian. There's a handful of tracks that have the restart zone or the start zone right in the center or exit of turn number 4. And as a racing purist or as a racing fan standpoint, you really want everybody to be have as much grip as possible, have that car as straight as possible to get the best launch as possible, right? But that's not always the case everywhere, especially for the Indianapolis 500, right, Brian? You know, they have those 3 wide starts for the Indy 500, and by the time they even get to the stripe, you know, they're almost, you know, back to double file or kind of single file going into turn 1. But yeah, like you don't necessarily get the best restarts hardly. It seems like at a lot of places.
That you don't. But you see there, the 44 got on by Trzynski and the 44 of Taylor got on by Trzynski. Trzynski's gonna fall into the clutches of Neckrich there. Seems like a rough go for the 12 this evening, Will. Oh, just like that. Oh, does he save it? Yes, he does. See the 41 back to the 51 on the inside. Mazzella on Honeycutt. 41's going to get a little tight to the 51. But going to keep it to his inside wheel. As they go into turns 3 and 4. As Mazzella dives down there, Honeycutt dives down too as well. The 41 isn't giving up any ounce. Besides right there, doesn't want to get tight to slide up to hit the 51, but gets back to the quarter of the 51 to try to apply some air to get him tight and maybe wash him up a little bit. But quite frankly, that didn't happen. But you see the 94 going on by the 91.
Some drivers, like we talked about, able to conserve or carry that tire a bit better than others. You're kind of seeing that now.
Honeycutt's got that outside wrap, that's for sure. Has now bought and looks to come up here in this little fight here. Try to take B6 away from Honeycutt whenever he can. There you go. Oh! What a hard lick from Honeycutt.
Oh man, Honeycutt instantly able to send it to the pits, but not sure if a caution came out or not.
No, it didn't.
Wow. Are you right on board with him, or you just kind of freaked out there? The camera did, I get. Anywho, back to the racing action here, as Honeycutt just started to break loose, and that overcorrection with these. The rack and pinion steering in these Gen 7 Cup cars, Brian, it's so finicky, so iffy. It's not like back in the olden days to where if you were sliding, you can kind of drive out of it. It's a bit more difficult to drive out of a slide now, so. Really feel for Honeycutt. That is the season opener winner from Daytona. He did all that magnificent blocking to keep the cars behind him to win that race. As we remember, right, that caution-free race. Had to work his way from the back to the front and got there over the pit stops throughout the race. Put himself in the right position, but just having some bad luck here tonight along with Will Roberts.
And Trzynski. The 98 at Carter running pretty good here, P7. As Bolton got on by him. But, well, as we saw there with Honeycutt, he ended up having the air taken off him a little bit. And then which got him that bobble. And when you start to lose it, you know how difficult it is to try to save it, which comes with letting off the throttle and trying to catch the car before getting back on the throttle.
Yeah, exactly. You really want to let the car roll as much as you can before you do get back into that throttle. But like you said, when the air gets taken off your car or you get dumped dirty air, it's going to have a whole nother reaction. We have a good gaggle of cars battling back here.
The 44, the 24, the 91, the 66. 42. '86 of 150 complete here. Madigan, as we see here, on a whole nother level in that 76. Hitting his marks, facing himself. Doing everything right. Setting his own rhythm, setting his own pace. Always good to see that. Sample looks to get on by the 44. The 44 is back to his outside wheel. Favorite section of the night.
Oh, yeah, this battle's still heating up as we go to our Crank It Up.
Give you guys the sounds, the sights around Phoenix, and enjoy. see there they were making their green flag pit stops on their way. 50 laps to go. Madigan is back out to the front of the pack. Madigan just pit.
And he pits with a 9-second lead, just over a 9-second lead over Botten. In the 94 car, Carter was in third. And it was like you said, there was a handful of pit takers that kind of, started to happen. That started that pit sequence. Everybody's going to be good to make it from here and just a little bit before, right? So about 55, about 53 laps, I think, when this pit cycle started. So was how much they had left to go, that is, that I'm referring to. So everybody's good to make it home from this point. I love the number font that Botten uses on the 94, and he's got that old McDonald's yellow to it in the front right and rear quarter panels, if you can just barely see it, so almost reminds you of like the Bill Elliott 94 team that Bill Elliott had. McDonald's sponsors, right? So
You see Bolton now coming into the pits.
I'm not sure if this can help Botten, him staying out longer than Madigan, because Madigan, he had such a huge lead. I don't know if any of the short pit takers, the people that tried the undercut, truly, if that can help them run down Madigan, because he was in his own area code, Brian. Crits kind of ran him down, but as we talked about, fresh tires, fresh tires is king. And Madigan's going to be able to drive back around Kurtz, dispose of them, and he's trying to drive back away, so doesn't look like the undercut truly helped.
Nope. See their car is going to come into the pits. Now the 44 will lead.
Yeah, that is Taylor in the 44. Last week's winner, if we do remember right, Brian, so.
Yeah. Little does he know Madigan is coming quick. Not just yet, though, but he's there. Whenever Taylor decides to pit, he's got the bobble. I guess that's his cue to come in. So then it will cycle back out to
Madigan in the 76 machine. Once he comes back around to pass. Well, Madigan, yeah, he's got to get up to Taylor, past Taylor.
just like that.
Lead, Madigan goes. So dominant car, back in the lead. Crits, he tried the undercut to get some sort of advantage to at least see the race leader, but he's somewhat on the same straightaway with him at the moment. But Madigan, he's trying to extend that lead once more.
And See here, Farmer and Mozilla battling it out for 4th place.
Yeah, closest battle on track at the moment between Farmer and Mazzella.
And behind these guys is Cochran. So as Cochran says, go ahead, you two keep side by side. That gives you a chance to come up there and have some fun. So. Almost contact. But Hawkins like, alright buddy, you're a lap down, go ahead and have at it. But well, Fritz has gotten ever so slightly closer to Madigan. I like where he put his number font.
No, we talked about that last week, I believe it was. Yes, there's a handful of drivers in this league, in this series, that really still respect the door. Right in the middle. Kurtz, he's staying a half a second. He never went further than 7/10 of a second back, so maybe either, do you think Madigan's just kind of teasing him, just conserving his tire here, and then he's going to put on a late charge to drive away, or do you think Kurtz is able to stay with Madigan, Brian?
I think Madigan's playing the toying game. As we know what Madigan, as we saw earlier on. We know what Madigan...
Drive away to 16 second, 9-second lead I think he had at one point before that pit stops occurred, and then before the one caution came out, he had over a 10-second lead, I think. So,
yeah, I think Fritz pitted a little bit too early, so that's probably going to hurt. Maybe I would say maybe a little bit, but. We'll just have to wait and find out. So, let's see here, the 65 is going to go on by the 34, which I do believe that is his teammate. As the way their numbers are on the door, I would believe or assume that their teammates. A little bit back behind them is Mazzella and Farmer. That's for your 4th and 5th position.
something happened to Kurtz and O'Brien. Like, something happened to those two. And Madigan's, he's put the pedal to the metal. He's over a second, Brian. I don't know what happened to Kurtz, but something has happened. He is no longer on the back of Madigan.
Nope. I think those tires are starting to give up on him,
Either that or he could have just had a moment, got slideways, you know. I'm not 100% sure, but like you said earlier, his teammate, we do believe their teammates, went by him.
Yep. It sounds like he's
So-
got to lift off so much going through the turn. But that could be just pitting early and having the disadvantage of the guys on fresher tires. Well, ever so slightly closing in, Will, on that 25 lap to go mark here tonight. As he covers. Pacing these laps down, getting them out the way.
Yeah, just a couple of laps to go, and we'll be at that 25 lap to go mark, like you talked about. 4 cars out of this race: Honeycutt, Kransky, Roberts, and Bascombe. I don't think gridded, so technically 3 cars out of the race that started overall. Baker's 4 laps down. Lee is 2 laps down. We do not have a car just 1 lap down. Taylor and Sample are going at it for 11th position. Taylor has some of the freshest tires on the field compared to some of the others. He was one of the later cars to pit. Yeah, that's a lot of ground to make up just to get back at least into the top 5. I don't, you know, everybody in front of him would just have to have those tires just fall off now, really, if he was going to at least get back into the top 5.
Yep. Another position change here for Carter and Eckrich. .24 laps to go here tonight in the AMS Cup Series from Phoenix. A little recap here. 1 caution tonight. Madigan, dominant force here. Led majority of the laps. Ended up driving back to the front after pitting and now setting the pace once again. A misfortune happened with Honeycutt. A little bobble, nose in the wall. And ever since then, this is where we're at. Same thing with Roberts. Tough go for Roberts and Trzynski. So...
Yeah, we've had a couple of gnarly crashes tonight. One in qualifying, like you talked about with Trojanski, and then just later on, you know, we had Roberts and Baker get together, and then Baker had his own wild moment, and then Honeycutt had a moment. Just typical Phoenix, really. The car just really wants to get out from underneath you at times, and it's just kind of hard to catch it, and once you do catch it, it just may be an overcorrection at that point. So, but it's just turned into one of those typical Phoenix races, it seems like, at least for the most part. Not really a caution-filled Phoenix race, just one of those where the tires are key, and you got to conserve a lot. Oh, Brian and Kurtz, they are kind of close for 2nd and 3rd, Brian.
That they are. 2 teammates. But, well, ever so slightly behind them is Mazzella, so... You see how Brian gonna let Fritz go by, so he goes, go ahead, you end up figuring out something, and now I'm losing it, so. I like that Guinness thing, it's pretty cool. And then on the 34 reminds me of a kind of sort of Ricky Stenhouse paint scheme that he ran. Can't remember which one it was. Edmonds or whatever it was. Edmonds.
Scott's toilet paper?
That too. I mean, Charming.
Yeah, whichever.
It's kind of vibe from getting out of 34. Looks pretty good though, I won't lie. I'm a fan of the numbers exactly on the door. I don't know, they're just so used to it, and I think they should have left them, especially on these cars, to make them a lot better. Oh, you see there, 65 makes a little contact to that wall there, crossing the start-finish line well.
So for the most part, Brian, with about 15 laps to go, everybody's somewhat spread out. You know, the third, fourth, fifth here, you know, you kind of have them. They can still see each other. They're within reason. You got Michael Cochran and Boughton, 6th and 7th. You know, they are kind of close to one another somewhat. Farmer, he's kind of by himself. Well, Cochran's kind of catching up to Farmer. So Farmer, Cochran, and Boughton, they're kind of fairly close together. Boughton, he's got, no, that's a lap car. That's Baker. So Neckrich and Taylor's trying to, like you said, trying to pull a Martin, drive back through the field with the fresh tires, but like I said earlier, I just don't think he has the time, Brian.
I don't think he does. It would be nice, but
As Madigan opening up a 5.5 second lead, just keeps extending it ever so slightly. Best battle or gaggle of cars that we have is back here, battling for 5th, 6th, 7th, and yes, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Like I said, Baker is a lap down. Well, 4 laps down, but
very unfortunate because I think he would have had a good piece here, as we've seen in the past couple of weeks. Being up in the front, leading laps, setting the field, and just having a good run. So, you see there, the 46 of Farmer got a little loose coming out of turns 2. Cochran now getting to the back of that 46 as the 94 Boughton is going to stick it to the inside there. Try to make the pass on the 42 going into turns 3 and 4. He will complete that pass. Now he's going to attempt to get a hold of Farmer Wolf.
yes, indeed, Boughton, he's trying to get into the top 5 to finish this race out. And for sure, he's side by side with Farmer now, who's going to get to 5th place.
Oh, the 94 had a little loosey-goosey going on there, Will. Ended up taking the air off of his right side there. as 94 comes back to try it again with 8 laps to go here tonight. You see Farmers enjoying the outside, letting Bolton take the inside. As they're going to try to... Oh, I thought he was going to close the door on him. Farmer still has a nose over Bolton. Well, now Bolton has a nose over Farmer. The Farmer's now back ahead of him. Oof. That would have been a photo finish. See there, Farmer gets way to the outside, which might hurt. No, it ain't. Farmer's still there.
No. Yeah, you're right. It didn't hurt at all. That outside momentum, he was able to diamond the outside lane pretty well. But I think Button just has a little bit fresher tires than the 46. Oh, Michael Cochran hanging on to it. But... Yep. Cochran might lose a spot to Carter. Yes, indeed, I think he did. Yes, he did. So Farmer's still in danger of losing another position as Carter, with the Bucky's car in the closing laps, has really charged up to this final top 5 position, I guess you could say. As everybody now battling for 6th position as Boughton driving away.
Yep.
4 laps remaining, about to be 3.
3 to go.
3 to go now, yes indeed. Madigan opened up to a 9-second lead, Brian. So about where it was before the pit stops occurred.
Well, he's in his own little zip code there. Bonani's the next car in danger, will to go a lap down. If Madigan can get to him. Laps to go. Could Mozilla get the pass on the 65 will as we close in on this battle with 2 laps to go? John, thanks for tuning in. Final lap, Will. Does Mozilla have anything for that 65?
Doesn't look like it at the moment. Looks like O'Brien's going to be able to hang on and get the final step on the podium here tonight. As Madigan's going to capture the win here, get the checkered flag here at Phoenix. AMS Cup Series. Only 2 cautions, Brian. I do believe. 2?
2 or 1?
2, because the multi-car wreck, I do believe we had.
Yes.
I think it was 2. It might have been just the 1. I'm trying to remember. But nevertheless, I mean, fantastic run, you know. Take a break here and try to gather up the podium finishers.
Two cautions. Yeah. Says here, Joseph Madigan, your race winner. 10 seconds back of him was Dylan Kritz. And second, Sean O'Brien, P3. John Mazzella, P4. Adam Evo Boughton, P5. Michael Carter, P6. Michael Cochran, P7. Josh Farmer, P8. Jason Taylor, P9. P10 will be John Neckridge. Randy Sample will be P11. Antonio Bonani, P12. Kane Lee, P13. Brian Baker, P14. Ryan Honeycutt, P15. P16. Kevin Trzynski, P17. Will Roberts. And P18. Amir Bascom. So let's straggle up. Alright, we'll talk to Sean first. Sean, you got a copy.
What's up?
How's it going, sir?
Can't be too mad of another top 3.
No, sir, I would not. Awesome run tonight by you. It seemed like your car was pretty stable for the most part of the night. Phoenix. We know how well Phoenix can be to some. I heard the officials weren't the best here. I don't know if you did any officials here. But congratulations on the P3. Talk about how that 65 Ford Mustang Dark Horse handled throughout the one. What was difficult through majority of the night? And where was maybe the toughest part to make moves at?
Yeah, the real challenge tonight with this setup was really trying to keep that right rear on the car, not burning it up. That's really what cost me that last run. I was digging hard trying to catch 76. I just burned it up. So I was just dog tracking, especially in 1. If you're going to make a pass here, it's going to be in 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. It's just easy. If you can just get inside a guy, it's way easier to do it than into 1 and 2. Yeah, you guys saw it yesterday in real life. This track is probably the hardest track in racing to pass on. So, didn't do myself any favors qualifying like hell. So I had to start in the back. But, yeah, it like any race in this car, it's about keeping the tires on it, keeping them cold. That's what Joseph did better. I mean, he just took us to Gapplebee's on that last run. I mean, what, he won by like 11 seconds, right? That's just crazy in a big setup.
10.4.
Yeah, and that just comes down to saving tires.
Yes, sir. Was the car sketchy when you guys were taking the dog leg? I seen some of you guys just bouncing off of those bumps.
Yeah, it really depends at what angle and where you decide to cut the dog leg. Mm-hmm. If you cut it pretty late, it can be real sketchy because that transition is a lot. But if you do pretty early, you should be fine, but you got to worry about those bumps closer to the wall. I was just kind of right in the middle, trying to avoid the bumps and also just have an easy transition, because cutting the dog leg does burn up your tires, but it's shorter. I mean, obviously it's shorter, you can see it. So, it's the quicker way around, but you just got to be wary about burning your tires.
Yes, sir. Next week, y'all go to another short track, Thunder Valley of Bristol Motor Speedway. What's going to be the mindset going into the Great Last Coliseum there?
Survival. That track, I mean, we all know what it's like at Bristol. It's just about keeping the 4 fenders on that car, keeping that nose clean, staying out of the pits. And if you can do that, you might have a chance of winning.
Do you think you can maybe... how do I put this?
Win? No.
No. A top 3, yes, probably, I would say, because you've been finding that rhythm the past couple of weeks to get to where you need. But at Bristol, which lane do you think is going to prevail the most?
Now, I haven't raced there since they made the updates to the
Mhm.
way rubber takes on the track and how rubber's put down in the dynamic track model. But
Mhm.
historically, in these cars, it's been all about the bottom. Kind of like old school Bristol. Basically,
Yes, sir.
if you're run by yourself, you're on the bottom. If you're trying to go fast, if you're trying to lay down a hot lap, you run the middle. And
Mhm.
if you want to pass someone, you run up top, get a good run on them going down the straightaway, and then cut it to the inside. So you're gonna see everyone all over the place. It's gonna be multi-lane racing, but I'm gonna call my shot. I'm probably gonna stay on the bottom feed most of the race.
Yeah, it's gonna be close battle. A lot of bumping, a lot of banging. We know how Bristol turns out. It's just like real life. Eventually, that nose is gonna come and play. Unfortunately, you don't want it to, but unfortunately, mistakes happen, especially at Bristol. We know it, very tight packed, knit racing. Keeping the nose clean, like you said, and all four fenders too as well. But anyway, congrats on the P3. Any final thoughts, shout outs, anything you want to give before we let you go?
Just shout out Jason S. Taylor, Dylan Kretz, everyone at Black Flag, and shout out to you guys for broadcasting. Thanks, guys.
No problem, sir. We're looking forward to see what you got next week.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Mr. Kritz. Mm, see, I can pull him up. Dylan, you got a copy?
Hello, hello.
Well, how's it going, sir?
Good, good. That was a tough race.
That's Phoenix. We all know how well Phoenix can go. Well, I don't know if you want to do this one.
Hey, Dylan. So, um, tell us overall about how the car was handling for you. We had that early caution with Will, I guess doing Will things. My doppelganger out there. Just I guess that's probably what I would have done. Anyway, just tell us about how the car was handling. To fire off, and then just how you were able to, kind of conserve the tires to bring it home in P2. You wasn't able to. Nobody really able to do anything with Manigan. You tried to undercut. You gained a little bit on him, but after he came out with his fresh tires, he blew back by you.
Yeah, so for the most part, it was just fighting to try to conserve tires. The car got looser as the run went on, but a lot of it was making sure you don't eat up your tires trying to chase someone down. In that last green flag run, I was struggling because I used up my tires trying to pass the 46. So it's a lot of not conserving properly there, and I just think Joseph was running a better line overall. So it just car was good, just not good enough of a driver to make it to P1 today. But a P2's more than enough.
Yes, indeed. P2 is more than enough. You've been pretty consistent, even to start off the season. Next week is Bristol. You think you can carry that, the momentum of the start of the season, into Bristol, maybe keep getting the podium here?
We'll see. It's probably going to be more of a attrition style race at that point. Bristol races totally differently from Phoenix, and so it's a lot of being able to just make it through all the laps there, survive, because it's also a tire game, right? Can't be sliding it, can't be knocking down the wall. It's a different beast for sure. But I'm hoping for more consistency.
We didn't really see the cars be too slidey tonight. Do you think that was because of the cooler track temperatures, perhaps?
I would say so. A lot of it is going to be that, and really when it was slidey, it's just overdriving, getting the right rear too hot.
Exactly, and a track like Phoenix, how these corners just kind of are so long. It is very, very easy to, like you said, overdrive the car. Any final thoughts, shout outs, anything to kind of, anything else you'd like to add, Dylan, before we let you go celebrate this P2?
Yeah, real quick, a big shout out to Black Flag Motorsports. God bless. Excellent team. Love those guys. CC O'Brien's fantastic sports bar. Great corned beef. Love the staff there. Excellent people. Some of the best. And God. I'd like to thank God.
There you go. Always thank him. He helps you through a lot of things, a lot of tough situations. Always good to fall back on. But anyway, sir, awesome job on the P2. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk to you again next week after Bristol.
Yep, sounds good. Hope to see you guys in the booth again too.
No problem, buddy. Enjoy the P2.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's toking a little bit. That's awesome. Great group of guys here. Last but not least, Mr. Madigan. Mr. Joe, how is it going, sir?
It's going good. How are you guys?
All right, a dominant machine that you bought tonight here at Phoenix.
Yeah, it was snooze fest, I bet, wasn't it?
No, we were trying to figure out who was actually going to run you down, but unfortunately, nobody did. And I mean, when you came out on those fresh tires, you're like, all right, I'll see y'all later. Um, anyway, sir, um, awesome job tonight on the win. How was the car on takeoff of the run to about midway through, and then pitting and then coming back out for the first time experiencing that dirty air of that 76 machine?
Yeah, the car was pretty stable, I'd say, throughout the whole run. It seemed like everyone was kind of fighting a loose condition. I'm not sure if that was mainly a dirty air or in traffic kind of thing, but out in clean air, it kind of handled great as long as I just hit my marks. Didn't try to overdrive it because these cars are really punishing when you overdrive it. It's so hard to get it pointed and make up some of that ground. So, kind of just hit my marks throughout the run. When it came to pit stops, everyone pitted a little earlier than I thought they were. And I was at that point where I wasn't really worried about fuel too much. I was just going to
Right.
say, no matter what, I'm going to cut it in half. So I didn't know if I was going to make it if I pitted when they did. So cut it in half, felt confident about it. Came out, I think, right about in front of the other cars when they pitted early. So I knew I was going to have that tire advantage. And when it came down to it, as long as I hit my marks and just was patient with it, it would come to me. And it did. It looked like they fell off. They had a couple lunges at me, but just smooth and steady.
That's all it is here, really. Rhythm track, driver's track. I think iRacing put out that new short track package too as well. So that's interesting to see. Next week, y'all head to Bristol. What is going to be the mindset and strategy going into Bristol?
Avoid the chaos. That's really all it's going to be. Bristol on iRacing and any car really has never been known as a clean and respective race, so I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to go. But as long as you just kind of give everyone else room and don't try to push it too much. I haven't really done any prep for Bristol yet, so I'm just have to see how everything handles over there, and we'll kind of see what we bring next week. I like Phoenix, but definitely not one of my favorites. But it's just unique, so it kind of just played into my favor. And if I pushed the car too much, then it was kind of out of my control at the end of the run. So I knew that as long as I could control every aspect of how my car was handling and driving, then I would be control of how that race went. And that's kind of what it was, because I was kind of telling Dylan a little bit of my secrets earlier. while we were in the waiting room. Uh, he was kind of asking me a couple questions about tires and all that stuff, and did you keep it under you? And I told him I was like, I kind of just drove the car. I didn't let the car try to drive me, and I don't even know if that makes sense, but I also wasn't shifting into turn one. I was kind of just riding the chip instead of having it bounce off. So kind of took a little bit of engine braking off, but it kind of kept the car from getting sideways. So I think that's also what helped me to this win.
Yes, sir, I would say so. Any final thoughts, shout outs you want to give before we get you back up there?
Yeah, just my teammate Ryan. It looks like we didn't bring him a good enough car this week. He was kind of struggling. We had identical setups, but it looked like he kind of was fighting the handle a little bit because his driving style is a little bit different. So sucks it didn't work well from him. But shout out Hy-Vee, Nep Auto Parts, GoPro, Mountain Dew Kickstart, and everyone who supports us at Madigan Motorsports, and of course you guys and Anarchy for putting on a good show every week.
Yes, sir. Awesome to see you win. Hopefully you can get her done next week at Bristol. Congratulations on the win again, and go ahead and celebrate that win. And hopefully looking forward to talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one, guys.
You too. Anyway, well, that will do it here tonight. Overall, great race. Typical.
Oh, yes, and yeah, one of those typical Phoenix races where you just have somebody that knows the track so well that they're just able to just put the hammer down. Well, not necessarily put the hammer down, but you know what I mean. Just like Joseph said, be smooth, be consistent, be very easy with the throttle commitment and everything. So, yeah, great Phoenix race here. Thanks to all these drivers who came out, participated in tonight's event here in the AMS Cup Series. Bristol's next week, like we've already talked about. I'm sure that's going to be a doozy of a race. You know how Bristol is, those high banks, that half mile. So until then, we will be back tomorrow night for the BNR Truck Series. Can't quite remember without looking at it where they are, but where?
Charlotte.
That's right. Charlotte Motor Speedway. So we'll be back tomorrow night on the BNR Racing Network, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. Until then, we want to wish each and every one of you that came in, cheered on, rooted your favorite AMS